Hi guys, what's going on? So today I'm going to talk about something a little different, which is capitalist exploits, and these guys are slightly different from the type of service that I usually review. So these days I've been reviewing more like option trading services and day trading and very short-term swing trading services. But occasionally I come across newsletters that I really like. I've known about these guys for a while. I've actually been a member on and off for the years, but I just recently signed back up to get some of their market information, because I think as the market starts to get more and more crazy over these last few months, I think it's important to get an expert's opinion. Somebody who's been in the game for 20, 30, 40 years that really can understand the politics, the economics, what's driving the markets, because that really can influence like how you invest. So one of the top guys that I've ever found, he's also hilarious, is this guy called Mcintosh, right down here somewhere. Let's see if we can find his bio. Put it in here somewhere. I'll leave a link to this whole review in the description below, so you can go and check it out. So this guy, Chris, he's been investing for a long time. He is quite right-wing, so he's definitely opinionated, and you'll see in some of his newsletters he can be quite out there. I like the guy. I think he's hilarious. I really like his like no nonsense, no BS kind of approach to the markets, to politics in general. So if you tend to be more like not politically correct in that, you'll probably like Chris and the newsletters at Capitalist Exploits. So he's an interesting guy. He started off in South Africa and ended up moving to London when he made money betting against the rand, which is South Africa's currency. So kind of an interesting start to a career. But he did become an investment banker in New York, and then he became an independent trader. And really, like, I'm not surprised. The guy's a real character, so I can't really imagine him working in these firms and with other people. So he is a terrible marketer, so he boasts about how he's the worst marketer, and that's probably why you haven't really heard of these guys. Is they really don't run ads, they don't really promote themselves, and yet they have tens of thousands of subscribers, which is pretty amazing. And that's mainly through word of mouth. People like me that are doing reviews, for example, can show you just how awesome these guys really are. I mean, Chris is a real like all-round investor. He invests in everything. I think he started off with call options on oil, which is an unusual thing to be, right? I mean, starting with call options on oil. He's really down to earth. Oil is something that is it's really good to be able to trade, because when the market's going down, we've got this war in Ukraine and all this, and he goes into all this stuff in detail. Being able to trade oil in some way is really helpful. And so I want to direct you to a free book that Matt and I have. So Matt runs mattrades.com. This is the section on his website called Underground Oil Trades. And we have a free oil trading book, so I'll put a link to the description for this book right here. And it explains like how you can make passive income selling oil futures, and basically how to add this to your arsenal of trading or investing tools. So make sure to check the description below, and I'll leave a link to that. It's something that is proven very valuable for a lot of people at the moment, like in these down markets. So let me get back to the review. It's right here. And so he was buying call options. Matt actually sells call options, which works a lot better, because you can see he lost everything doing the call options on oil. But these are different times. There are tons of positive reviews on these guys. This is a real service. This is there's a lot of credibility here. A lot of professional hedge fund managers sign up for their newsletters, and the vast majority of their newsletters are actually low cost. They do have a couple of really high ticket premium newsletters, but I'm mainly going to tell you about the stuff you can get for free or for a very low cost today. So the first thing you can look at on here, which I'll leave a link so you can go here, is that they have a free newsletter, completely 100% free. It's called Our World This Week, so it's a weekly thing, and they send it to you via email, and it just gives you some interesting market analysis and commentary with quite a spicy flavor. Like I'm saying, it's quite right-wing, quite funny, and you'll see I'll show you some of this stuff in a little bit. So you can sign up there for the free investment newsletter. However, I'd advise that you go one step up, which is their service way down here, this guy right here. So they have something called the Insider Newsletter, and it's $35 a month, which is a total bargain for what you get. And so you can try it for $1 if you click here. I'll go here. I think a lot of people go here and they get put off because it's not super clear, but if you go to here and click join now, you get the 30-day trial for $1, and then it's $35 a month after that. And that is a total bargain because you get all this amazing information. It's a really interesting read. I'll show you some of them in a minute. I love how politically charged and opinionated these pieces are. I really do. I think it really is a refreshing change, and it makes the dryness of these types of things that, like, it makes me want to read about them more, because it really gets rid of that dryness that you get with a lot of these market analysis. So here's a quick look at this week's issue. You can see these are some of the topics, and they're quite inflammatory, some of them. I love it. So this has been tried before. Weaponizing the justice system. That's obviously talking about the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Weaponizing the IRS, same thing. US government, blah blah. Shooting fish in a barrel. So some really interesting sounding topics in the index for this stuff. And so at the end they give you, so they talk about all the market stuff, and usually sectors like agriculture and then oil. So that is pretty interesting. It really get you tapped into the markets, and you know, maybe there's a slight political slant to it, but at the same time there's a lot of truth, a lot of like bluntness, which helps you make these investment decisions without fear of being, you know, misguided by a lot of things. So at the end of the newsletter they give you some recommendations. These aren't super detailed though, but they've kind of outlined their whole thought process by why you might want to get into these. So you can take these trades, or you can take ones that you also sort of see as this asymmetric risk reward, and that's something that these guys are really good at. They really focus on asymmetry, so things that are really undervalued, and they may go to 0, but you won't lose very much because they're really cheap, or they may go up 100x or 10x or something. And so they definitely work on this asymmetry idea, and that's focused more on their premium products, but you can kind of see it in action in their low-end products, such as the Insider Weekly. So this is this week's Insider. I don't want to show too much just because it's proprietary, but I feel like it's worth looking at. What I wanted to do, to show you, is they do start off with a fairly interesting feature, which is just simply asking their subscribers to send in nice pictures of where they live, or pictures they've taken recently. That's definitely already an unusual step, right? Normally these things are really boring, but a couple of subscribers sent these pictures in. So subscriber Tony, I learned that Kennett Square, Philadelphia is the mushroom capital of the world. This shot was taken from Tony's. So it's kind of cool that they feature, you know, people's pictures. So you can tell straight away that these newsletters are not the norm. These are a little different, a little bit offbeat. So they often have quotes and things in here. So this one, try and click on this, doesn't really zoom in. There we go. So I see in the future a crisis approaching that unnerves me. And this is something I should reiterate, is Chris has a very, very negative view on where we're going, and really he's been right over the last few years. Who knows whether it will continue, but he has a very negative view of the world and the economy and the global economy. So he's always talking about corruption and how, you know, the world might collapse and things. But often there's a lot of deep insight in it that maybe comes across a little bit conspiracy theory to start with, or a little bit too negative. But honestly, he's done his due diligence and he seems to know what he's talking about. So I'm just going to briefly go down here. I don't want to dwell on it too long, just to kind of show you. But there'll often be joking pictures in here as well, like this one. And he doesn't mince his words, so it's definitely worth taking a look at. These are substantial, so you can see how much information is in here. He'll talk about ESG, which I didn't really know what it was. I googled it and learned something about that. I'm not a big long-term investor, so sometimes some of this stuff is above my head, but I'm learning from it, which is cool. So Sri Lanka is almost perfect. The correlation between a high ESG score and human suffering is near perfect. I didn't even know what this was, so it's quite interesting to go through. And you learn a lot just about everything to do with investing, often to do with stuff you wouldn't expect to. You can see the political stuff coming in here. Hunter Biden loves crack, or how Pelosi loves gin. I mean, they really love it. You can see the guy is quite a character. So it's really interesting reading. Being from the UK, This was interesting too, about farmers being paid off and all this stuff. And this goes on and on and on, but it's a good read because it's interesting. And then, I mean, look at this. He's putting pictures of like judges being skinned alive and stuff. So if you're really like, if you're like kind of like a stronger personality, you'll probably love this stuff. Weaponizing the IRS, blah, blah, blah. And this was a fascinating read. It took me a little bit of time, but I mean, it puts things like COVID death and vaccination levels, like from reputable journals and things. So really, really interesting stuff. Then you get into kind of the trading things, like why is Pfizer and these drug companies in a downtrend when the COVID vaccines and everything were coming out. And he analyzes that and things as well. So you can get these nice little pictures. The point, ladies and gentlemen, is that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. I don't know how long it must take them to write this, but these things are big. So anyway, you get this massive, awesome overview of the economy and politics, which is really cool. And then you get down to the actual trades down at the bottom here. Starts talking more and more about trading, looking at charts and trends and sectors, which is all really good stuff. And then right at the end, you get the ideas of what they're going to be taking, but you don't get actual alerts, and that's because those are saved for their premium service. But you get kind of the gist of what they do. I'm just trying to get to the bottom. They even have a joke at the bottom. So that's the Insider, well, it used to be called Insider Weekly. It still has that in the title, but it's really called the Insider Newsletter now, and that's what I was showing you right here. So this week's. Alright, so you can see these come out pretty frequently. I'll go back to the archive. When you sign up, you get access to all of these, and because there's a lot of really good information in all of them, but the often they're time sensitive, right? So the older ones are not as relevant, maybe. And you can see the dates on here. So this is the 23rd. It came out 4 days ago. And then this was the 14th. So you can see there's been a couple this month so far. The 8th. So these are every week. And there's a ton of reading in them. Let's just go down to one like from May, like here. So again, it starts with these pictures, and then here's the list of topics for this week's issue. COVID scam 2.0, when does China pull the rug, commodity bulge beginning, US natural gas. Sorry ladies, no, can't probably say that on YouTube. This dog won't hunt, big five, and then talks about more stuff. And you can see it's all energy related a lot of the time. So again, if you're that way inclined, you sort of have that mentality, you'll find it's really, really interesting. And so that's the $35 a month, $1 a month trial. Come and check it out at my review. You can have a look. And then their big service is the more expensive ones. So I'm not sure how much I've written about. Well, I guess I have put them in here. Again, I've been a member of this one, so I've try not to give too much away in here. But let me see. So like I said, they are really into asymmetry. So when you sign up for the big one, which is like 2,000 odds a year, they do give alerts and a lot more information on trades, and they're looking for 500% returns on these particular trades. And let's just go down a bit. So this is basically how they do the process of their trade alert selection. So they love these sectors. The unloved sectors, sounds a bit weird, they love the unloved sectors. They love to position in these major macro capital flow trends early, which is why they talk non-stop about all these economics and global situations and everything. So they're really bottom feeders. They're looking for stuff that can really go up 5 or 10x. They look at core themes. I've blacked them out because I don't think they want you to know. There's 12 of them. And so all their individual trades are based on these core themes. Like I said, the profit potential is really high, the risk is really low for them. You look at agriculture. Here's a look at inside the dashboard. So they have all these different positions and target prices, recent prices, stats, and all that. So I've blacked all those out. Needless to say, most of them are actually doing really well. So you also get access with their main insider program to all the access to the forums, which is really useful. They have a 30-day guarantee, which is good. Tons of positive reviews on them, so you can go to Trustpilot or whatever. Here's a couple of reviews on this that you can go and check out as well. Overall, I love the Capitalist Exploits people. It's the cheap service is just a hilarious read, really like educating me, which is something that I feel like I'm trying to do more of, which is like learn more about investing, about the world. You learn all sorts of stuff from this newsletter, so highly recommend just signing up for the $1 trial if nothing else. And I think you'll find these guys to be pretty good. So I'm going to have a bit more of a shot at their premium service at the moment. I really like Chris. I think he's honest. I think he has integrity. I really feel like he's a good guy, and I think I'm going to enjoy the Insider newsletter, but then also I think his premium service is going to be great too, and I'll do some more reviews on that as time goes on. Alright guys, hopefully that's helpful, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.